Alright, man, it has been a while since I sat down, really let go and made a video like this, and I'm excited to get into it. If you watch any of my videos before or any video like this, you already know this is about to be an off the dome video. If I get too off track, I do got some letters here. It's just stuff I've been writing out these past few days. But look, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I've been going through recently. What I've been going through. You know, some of my recent struggles and some of the lessons I've learned. Yeah, so my recent experiences and kind of where I'm at now and how I've found faith again. And yeah, let me just get into it. So look, this actually starts in a very strange but funny way. So if you've seen any of my recent videos, I will watch. So I made this video called "Wholeness is My Foundation," right? And that video encompasses my principles pretty well and kind of where I was at that time. What was that? Maybe July, August, and how I was up until maybe today's April 6th, so maybe up until December, January, something like that, like January, maybe into February. Check this. Here's where shit started to crumble. Excuse my language, I'm not clipping that out. Here's where stuff started to crumble. I actually watched the new Matrix movie. I'd say stuff was already crumbling, but this was really the last straw. So I watched the Matrix movie, the newest one, and I don't remember what it was, but it made me feel like there were so many systems that I was subscribed to that I didn't really believe in and that I didn't really think were real. And so let me kind of try to cut out the fluff here and make this make sense. So I was practicing a lot of Christian principles. I don't regret it at all, and I think there's a lot of amazing stuff. Anyways, now even though I was practicing these principles and I kind of started getting real deep into it late in the summer, from the jump there were a lot of things I didn't believe. For example, I never believed, when I got back into this, I never believed that in order to go to heaven that you had to accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, right? And I still don't believe that. But I just said, okay, you know, let me find my own truth. I got into reading the Bible a lot of great stuff I learned in there. Oh my gosh, like, boy, and I still carry that here with me today, even though my principles have shifted quite a bit. And yes, I will get into that in this video. Low-key, this might be a 20-minute video. Hey, if you don't want to watch it, that's cool. I'm making this, you know, hopefully it might give somebody some insight, you know, if you like to learn, whatever, but also so that I can look back at this, because I watched that Wholeness is My Foundation video yesterday, and boy, it helped me find the light again, helped me to accept the light again. So anyways, I was learning a lot through reading the Bible, through practicing some, you know, certain spiritual practices and believing in God and da-da-da-da. But here was my issue. I didn't believe in all the fluff. I believed that there is a God. I believed in, like, the Spirit's infinite wisdom. I believed in, you know, many things, but I didn't believe, for example, like I said, I didn't believe that I had to accept Jesus Christ to go to heaven. I didn't believe that, well, partly I'm gonna explain more about that because there is some accepting that's necessary, but I didn't believe that, oh, you have to do this and this, and oh, you can't, oh, like, for example, like, oh, you can't smoke weed, or God wanted da 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 da, or this and that and this and that and this and that. I'm gonna get into all that. I'm gonna bang it out all in this one video. But anyways, so I actually kind of let my spiritual practices crumble. And it was the scariest thing to do, because I knew that when I had done things like this in the past, years ago, you know, just growing up, not years ago, but in late high school and whatnot, going through these kind of phases where like really strong belief in God was carrying me through, and then I kind of found something, and I'm like, okay, I want to explore here. And I kind of let go of spiritual practices, and it really screwed me up in the past. So I knew the risk that I was taking. So luckily, I just want to say I'm grateful that I wasn't off track for too long, because man, boy, was it rough. So I kind of, for a little bit, I kept reading the Bible, but I just stopped believing in things, and I inadvertently, unintentionally started to lose connection with God, and ultimately started denying the Spirit, started rejecting the Spirit, started closing myself off. I think The Matrix made me believe, like, not made me believe, but I watched that movie and I started thinking like just a bunch of stuff like, oh, you know, like, low-key, bro, been thinking I could fly. I said this to my boy yesterday, yo, if you ever see me, if you ever see in the news, like, Oliver Collington committed suicide jumping off a building, just so you know, I was not suicidal. I really thought I could fly. Just putting that up there for the record. But anyways, so fast track. So I started going through struggles. Nothing changed on the outside. I was still training, still been working as a personal trainer, still been just pretty much doing everything the same on the outside, but inside I really started to crumble. A lot of people, maybe close friends noticed, I don't know. Nobody really mentioned much. Maybe a couple know. My boy E. If you watching this, I love you, bro. Shout out to you. But yeah, I've been struggling internally, trying to figure it out. And here's the problem. I became, I don't know though. So I lost that connection with God, and I just started. Everything became like just like problems mentally, like just trying to figure out all the answers, trying to be perfect, trying to figure out how I could be God, trying to like all these things, and going to work every day and like coming home and not understanding why I just wasn't feeling good. Why I was feeling like, you know, and I was doing great, like, you know, in terms of helping people and you know, making great workouts and da-da-da-da. But anyways, all this like mental and emotional strife and lack of understanding and kind of like, I don't want to say resentment, but internal battles. Like, it's like I was constantly fighting myself, battling different ideals and like rejecting certain stuff. Anyways, so that all that mental and emotional stuff actually started to affect me physically. So now I'm actually touch on a few things that actually haven't really told many people about. So hey, if you're seeing this, you first come, first serve, hearing it here first. But anyways, so as many people know, I fractured this bone right here, my fourth metacarpal right here on my left hand, playing basketball. Now I wouldn't say that wasn't obvious to me, that it was due to like mental and emotional stuff. Could have been. Anyways, then I've been dealing with some pain in my right ankle. Been just struggling with that. And then with my hair, so I've been having some stuff going on with my hair. Been having like, I get just dandruff for a minute. Dandruff started getting bad for a while. Like, my hair was great, and then one day, like a couple weeks ago, like I got out the shower, my hair was wet, and I'm like, I'm like, what is that smell? And I'm like thinking, like, I'm like smelling around, and then I realized it's my hair. I'm like, dog, what the heck is that? It was like a moldy smell. So I ended up looking up like later that night, because I showered again, I smelled it again. I look up, I'm like, can dandruff cause mold? I find out it's the opposite, more like mold causes dandruff. It just happens when whatever. I'm not too sure. I don't know everything about it yet. Anyway, so I start changing up some habits, but all these physical issues were even more things to worry about, because once again I'm trying to figure out how I can be perfect, how I can figure it out on my own, how I can get my body to heal itself, and kind of get all these processes to happen. And here's where so mind you, so I'm gonna leave that at that for the most part. By the way, I figured out the hair thing. Hands getting a whole lot better, ankles getting a whole lot better. So that's all beautiful. But, and let me tell you, the physical getting better started with the mental. So check this. That mental strife, the arguments in my head was, I think, going to lead me down a dead end. So, yeah. So as I said, I don't know if I said this, so I'm gonna say it again. When I watched The Matrix, the reason I let go of all my spiritual principles is because ultimately I wanted to have the same relationship with God, but without all the extra fluff, without all the things where I felt like I needed to do this and that and this and that to be close with God or whatever. So here's what I found. Here's what I found in like literally the past 2 days, was at the core of my relationship with God. And what is at the core now? The first step. You can call it a lot of names. You can call it, if you want to call it the universe, you can call it the universe. If you want to call it God, you can call it God. You want to call it the spirit, you want to call it your extraterrestrial intelligence, you could call it whatever you want to call it, right? I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to argue about the stories of how, what happened, blah, blah, blah. It's not, I don't think that's the fluff, like I was saying. So, where's that at? I know I usually say off the dome, but this is like different. Like if you're still watching, like, boy, I respect you for accepting me. Shit. Accepting. So that's the first step for me, is accepting the spirit in my life. So the way I feel about God's presence is that God will never turn his back on us. The only reason it would seem like that is if we refuse to open ourselves to God. The only reason it would seem like God has turned his back is because we are unwilling to accept him, to accept his presence. And for me, I was unwilling to accept that I needed him. And I'm using him, I don't literally mean man, it's just, listen, that's just how I'm communicating, but don't get too caught up on the pronouns, all of that. No, it ain't no him, her. I'm just using labels, but ultimately God, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, can't really be labeled. But you know, we're humans and we speak English. This is how I'm gonna do it. So yes, accepting God is the first step for me, and that was kind of hard. That's really hard, especially after thinking that, like, oh, you know, is God real? Is this just like an ideal that's been like kind of brainwashed into me so that I behave a certain way for whoever's in control or whatever the case might be? That's kind of the ideas that I had after watching The Matrix. But ultimately, and it's ironic based off of how the movie is set up, but when I look up in the sky, I said, how can it not be a God? And when I had these revelations, I'm like, dog, this is not just me. Like, this is not just my human brain. This is like something I'm being blessed with. But anyway, so first step for me is accepting God, accepting the presence, accepting his help. He never turns his back on us. It's just, are we willing to accept him? Are we willing to accept the spirit? And then from there, everything can fall into place from there. Right? That's the foundation. That's the foundation of wholeness. So let me now start to pull out these notes. Right? So it's when we start to accept God's presence that I I said this to myself the other day. Lean not to my own understanding, but let the Spirit guide. So when we accept God, we begin to see his guidance. His guidance is always here. He's always guiding us. But when we don't accept him, I'm gonna just use I don't know about y'all, but when I don't accept him, I'm not able to use his guidance. I'm blinded to it, right? When I accept him, my eyes start to open. I'm like, oh wow, everything is not as scary and as crazy as I made it seem, right? I don't understand everything, but when I accept God, I open to his guidance, and I realize I don't need to understand everything. And then things stop becoming scary and stressful and feeling like I need to and have these battles in my mind. And yeah, so yeah. So then I begin to walk by faith and not by sight once I begin to accept God. Hope I'm dropping little gems here and there to have you sitting here for 15 minutes and 59 seconds. Probably gonna go up to 20 minutes. I have a feeling I'll be done in the next 4. So accepting God and then trusting in him. Trusting he's leading the way. If you have never experienced that before, man, I pray that it comes to you. If you have experienced that before, that guidance and that like feeling of like just like having no worries, that feeling of just being good, then remember that feeling now. If you're in a place where you haven't been accepting the Spirit, I encourage you to remember that feeling. You know, if you're really struggling and feeling lost, because like I said, I don't need to know all the answers now because I'm being led by the Spirit. And the awareness of the Spirit is deeper than understanding. It's just like it's fully like it's complete. It's a complete navigation system. Oh, damn, that's a bar. Come on. We got awareness of the Spirit. The Spirit is a complete navigation system, right? So yeah, that's pretty much all, y'all. Yeah, I wrote here, my intelligence, the Spirit, God. There is no distinction between these names, and it resides everywhere. Yet it seems to exist nowhere when I resist it and reject it. All of the answers that I have desperately attempted to work for, they are already revealed, right? God does not pick favorites, nor does it turn its back or have conditions of love. Meaning, conditions of love, if you don't understand that just means it's not like, oh, we have to do this and then God will love us. No. God gonna love us regardless, right? Nor does it require certain actions or traits, but God can only help me and you if we accept it. So I said, accept, practice faith, be patient. Now let the light shine. And now, this is one of my favorite things about my spiritual practices in the past is like letting God's light shine through me. I used to say this in prayers. I would say, God, I ask that you let your light shine throughout me and through me unto others. Like, let others feel your light. And that's the most beautiful thing, feeling God's light in others. Man, I want to give my life to just sharing this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to end on this. I just wrote this before I made this video. Titled it, Prayers of Peace. God, remind me to trust you in all and with all. Thank you for your wholeness. Thank you for your presence. Teach me how to open myself to you and dedicate awareness to your presence as you illuminate the circumstances that I find myself in. Lord, remind me to lean not on my own understanding, but to depend on you, for you light the way. And then that was the end of the prayer. Amen. And I wrote this little piece down here. Goodness it is a beautiful thing to feel your presence in each breath. Thank you for allowing me to come back to this when I've slipped away, for letting me open myself to you after I denied you for so long. Man, God don't care what we do. He gonna love us regardless. It's just a question of, are we going to accept that love and allow ourselves to be loved? And with that being said, I love you. This is an off the dome video, so hey, there was a lot of maybe a little bit of rambling. I hope you were able to understand what I was trying to illustrate. Hope you get a good picture of kind of what I've been going through, and what I found, and kind of where I'm at now. Cause I just personally feel like these realizations, these revelations can help the world. You let me know if you want to be like, yo, Oliver, I don't know what you're saying, bro. You talking some crazy stuff. Feel free to put it down in the comments or reach out to me, whatever the case may be. I'll be back soon, maybe. I'm always here if you want to talk, you feel me? All right, I'm gonna shut up. I love you. I'm putting this right up on the channel. No edits. My computer don't even got a storage to do that.